Let's talk decisions. Not the big ones you make. Let's talk about the ones that you make every day. Our lives are a product of the choices we make as we navigate our way through life. It may not appear that way at first glance, but as we continue to make decision after decision, we begin to form habits that inform our belief systems down the road. Do you ride roller coasters, for instance? Some people can't wait to get on the next one. Many others believe they wouldn't enjoy it, even if they've never tried one. It's kind of like disliking lima beans or Brussels sprouts without even tasting them. These elementary, everyday decisions contribute to the way that we form our personality and the peoples and the situations that we attract around us. Of course, these decisions also begin to limit our options, simply due to the habits that we develop because of our self-perceptions. There's nothing wrong with having preferences, but they should be informed preferences, don't you think? When the issue facing you is more significant, allowing unfounded biases to influence your consideration impairs your ability to make a good decision. So let's examine the decisions you make every day. For this exercise, it's best to focus on one environment at a time. You might think about where you work, decisions you make at home or at school, or if you're taking classes. You need to consider these three elements: timing, influences, and risk. Let's begin with timing. Many decisions contain a sense of urgency. Somebody's waiting for an answer. But even with time-pressured decisions, it's generally acceptable to ask for more time. You won't always get it, but most times you will. When it comes to self-initiating decisions, you might impose a sense of urgency just to jumpstart your own momentum. When I first got the idea for this book, for instance, I told all my friends that I would have it completed by a certain date. They bugged me until it was completed. While you don't want to allow timing to overcome smart decision-making, it certainly plays a role in our actions. Then there are influences. Some are obvious, many are subtle. Of course, you're going to be more mindful of what your boss says, for instance, but what about that coworker who seems to question your decisions in front of others with her offhand comments? Are her remarks really that important? Making smart decisions demands that you take these influences into consideration and assign a priority to each. Finally, there's risk. Some people are instinctively put off by the word risk. It's human desire to remain safe, but too much of a focus on avoiding risk can paralyze you. This results in short-sighted behavior and lost opportunities and a sense of inferiority. Where do you fall along the continuum between safety freak and daredevil? Your orientation toward risk always impacts decision-making. We'll talk more about all of these three and later in the book. Now, let's talk about how you make decisions. Some decisions require a reaction. Your boss might ask you to deal with a customer's question, for instance. Perhaps your spouse asks you to select a color for the new carpet. Other decisions are more proactive. In order to move up within the organization, for example, you might need to enroll in some training. Maybe your aging car is going to require attention sooner rather than later. Putting it off will probably cost more. Reactive decisions have to be made within the parameters and the time allotted. Someone's waiting for an answer. Perhaps the opportunity will be lost if you don't act. Even if you wait too long, the decision might be made for you and not with a positive outcome. Proactive decisions require self-initiative. No one else is forcing you. You have to have the will to begin. But you also have the opportunity to plan before taking action. You can collect ideas and resources. You can reflect on possible approaches. You can consult with others. You can envision different outcomes. The question, of course, is how often do you do all of this when you decide to act proactively? We've all acted without thinking. We might have acted on impulse. We might have felt pressured. We might have pressured ourselves. In making significant decisions, it's important to take a step back and consider the consequences. Taking time to plan reveals unseen risks and sometimes opportunities. So ask these three questions about your decision-making habits. First, how strategic am I in going about making decisions? In other words, have I developed a habit of stepping back before acting impulsively? Second, how well do I recognize decisions of significance in my own life? Have I developed the situational awareness to identify the big decisions in my life and take the time to act with more deliberation? And third, what kind of habits have I formed around making decisions? How methodical am I in making my decisions? Where has this worked for you in the past, and what can you do to improve this discipline? Now, take some time to reflect on these questions. There are no right or wrong answers. Plant them in the back of your mind and consider them as you deal with the daily decisions that come your way. Just the act of doing this will spur you to look more closely at the decisions you make. Would you like to improve the way you make decisions? What would be the benefits? Try to quantify these. What would it really mean to make better decisions? More confidence? More peace? More money? More friends? More influence? There's nothing like having incentives to make a good decision, especially when you're being proactive. So what's next? As you continue through the book and video segments, keep the answers to all these questions in mind. They will help you benchmark what you're doing well and where you need to improve in your decision-making habits and approach.